All right, so today we are going to start talking about in this unit, about function transformations. And so today we're going to talk about the parent function. So these are our base form of our functions that we're using. All right, so we have three different types that we're going to be talking about: linear, absolute value, and quadratic. So let's take a look here at linear, which we have done linear lines this year already, and see what it is. I'm going to use the numbers 4 or negative 4 through 4. So we're going to fill in our table. Yes, we could graph this without, but let's go ahead and fill in the table like we normally would, so we can get practice for the next two. So our equation, guys, is y equals x, right? So I'm given in this first box that y is equal to, x is equal to a negative 4. So we get y is equal to negative 4. So that gives me the point negative 4, negative 4. And that's where that point would be plotted on my graph. Okay? Y equals, well, x is negative 3. Plugging that in. So we get y is equal to negative 3. So we get the point negative 3, negative 3. Again, plotting that on the graph. Y equals negative 2. So when we plug in negative 2 for x, I get y is equal to negative 2. All right, I'm going to keep going, and then we'll finish plotting the points here in a second. So again, I'm just plugging the x value, the given x value in for x. All right, so this is our linear. Oops, not 3. Okay, so if I plot those points, notice they make a straight line, which we would expect for a linear, right? So what is my domain? So remember, domain is all the x values. So if I'm looking at my graph and I go right, am I ever going to stop going right? Well, if we look at this line, right, it's going to keep going on forever and ever, right? To the right. If I keep going to the left, all right, if I keep looking at this line and I keep looking at going to the left direction, if I keep extending that line out, it's going to keep going on forever and ever, right? So my domain, right, is all real numbers. I'm going to have a value for any number I plug in for x. Okay, now let's talk about range. Remember, range is the y values. So we're looking at the up and down. Again, I'm going to keep, if I kept extending this line out, right, it's going to keep going up forever and keep going down forever. So it is also all real numbers. Okay? Remember, the x-intercept is where we cross the x-axis. So x-axis here, y-axis here. Well, both the x-axis and the y-axis, or x-intercept and y-intercept, are the same on this one. It's the very center of our graph, which is the point 0, 0. All right, so now let's look at our absolute value. Now remember, absolute value always comes out positive. So again, I'm going to use the same exact set of numbers. And we're using y. Our function is y equals the absolute value of x. So I'm just plugging in my given x value. So in this first one, our absolute value, it's negative 4. And the absolute value of a negative 4 is a positive 4. So my point is negative 4, 4. Okay? Going to do the same thing with the rest of these. Plug in negative 3. And I get 3 out. Plug in negative 2, and I get 2 out. Plug in negative 1. I get 1. Again, just keep plugging in those values. Absolute value of 0 is 0. Absolute value of 1. Okay. All right, so plugging in y equals 2 for x. We get 2 out. Plug in absolute 3. Oops, sorry guys. Plug in 4. All right, so I have my points. So 4, negative 4, right? Or sorry, negative 4, 4. So go left 4, up 4, negative 3. So notice this one makes kind of a V-shaped. Absolute value is always going to make a V-shaped graph. All right, so now let's talk about the domain and the range. So looking at it going, if I keep that line going forever there, it's going to keep going to the left forever and to the right forever. So it'll be all real numbers on your x values. Now range is a little different, right? We are going to keep going up both directions, but notice we stop right there at 0. So our range would be 0 less than or equal to our y value less than or equal to infinity. Okay, and again, x and y intercept for this one. It's where we cross the x and y axis. Both of those are again 0, 0. Okay, so now let's talk about our quadratic. Again, I'm going to use the same set of numbers that I've been using. So we're plugging into y equals x squared. So we get y equals, in this case, negative 4 squared. Well, negative 4 squared is 16. Okay, so I would get negative 4 comma 16. Now, if I look at my graph, I can already tell it's not going to go up 16 spaces, right? So this is just a point we're not going to plot. It is a point on our line, but our graph doesn't fit it. All right, let's look here. We got y equals, our x is negative 3. So negative 3 squared is 9. Okay, so again, if I looked at my graph, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't have enough spaces to go up 9 spaces. So again, we can't plot this point. Okay, y. So now let's do what? Negative 2 for x. So I'm plugging in negative 2 for x squared. So negative 2 squared is 4. So I get the point negative 2 comma 4. Now I can plot this point, right? I can go left 2 and up 4. Okay, so there's my first point plotted on this one. Let's go ahead and do y is equal to, well, whoops, negative 1 squared. I don't know why that one. Well, negative 1 squared is 1, so I get the point 1. 1. Then plug in 0. I get 0 out. Okay, I can plot those 2 points. Okay, square or 1 squared gives me 1. When I plug in 2, 2 squared is 4. Three, oops, is what I'm plugging in. Squaring it is 9. Again, I'm not going to be able to plot that one on the graph. And 4 squared gives me 16. Again, another one I'm not going to be able to plot on the graph. Okay, notice on this one here, it makes a U-shaped. It's not quite exactly a V like our last one. It makes this a U-shaped. Okay. So looking at the domain, Although it's a little hard to tell if I'm looking at this, it's going to keep going to the left and to the right, both directions, right? If we kept extending it. And if I made it big enough, we'd keep going forever in both directions. So again, the domain is all real numbers. The range, much like the one before. Okay. We stop down here at 0, right? But we're going to go up forever. We're not going to stop. Because if you noticed in my pattern of numbers, right, we were doing the negatives, right? We started big and got small, and then we went going back big again. So my range is very similar to the absolute value. It's 0, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to infinity. And again, the x and y intercept is where we cross the x and y axis. And again, for both of these, it's 0, 0. All right, so that is all for this. These are the 3 parent functions we're going to be dealing with and how they shift on our graph. So we will look at a little bit more of that in the next couple activities and in the next lesson. All right, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next.